Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. So today we title this message, They Trust in Worldly Possessions, Then This Happens. They trust in worldly possessions, then this happens. We're going to kick off this message with Psalm 49. And this way you can get some understanding in terms of what is going on with the rich, the powerful, those who love fame, and of course the prideful. Hear this, all you peoples. Listen, all who live in this world, both low and high, rich and poor alike. My mouth will speak words of wisdom. The utterance from my heart will give understanding. I will turn my ear to a proverb. With the harp I will expound my riddle. Why should I fear when evil days come, when wicked deceivers surround me, those who trust in their wealth and boast of their great riches? No man can redeem the life of another, or give to God a ransom for him. The ransom for a life is costly. No payment is ever enough, that he should live on forever and not see decay. For all can see that wise men die, the foolish and the senseless alike perish, and leave their wealth to others. Their tombs will remain their houses forever, their dwellings for endless generations, though they had named lands after themselves. But man, despite his riches, does not endure. He is like the beasts that perish. This is the fate of those who trust in themselves, and of their followers who approve their sayings. Like sheep, they are destined for the grave, and death will feed on them. The upright will rule over them in the morning. Their forms will decay in the grave, far from their princely mansions. But God will redeem my life from the grave. He will surely take me to himself. Do not be overawed when a man grows rich, when the splendor of his house increases, for he will take nothing with him when he dies. His splendor will not descend with him, though while he lived, he counted himself blessed, and men praise you when you prosper. He will join the generation of his fathers, who will never see the light of life. A man who has riches without understanding is like the beasts that perish. I read that out of the NIV Bible by Tyndale. The futility of worldliness, riches, pride, fame, resounds from this psalm. My study Bible says comparable in form to the book of Ecclesiastes. This psalm is one of the few written more to instruct than to give praise. And yes, we did hear instructions. God wanted us to hear his word today. Why? Because it appears in mainstream media and around the world that the rich is winning. It appears that deceivers are not really deceiving. It seems that there is good and more good, but is there really some? They question the motives. They question what the plan is behind the plan. I know that there's a plan, but what is that hidden plan? The hidden plan is focused on what the rich want. And that's why for some individuals, they have a sinking feeling in their stomach and they fight it. Their gut is telling them, I don't know about this. But they have those around them. Trust. Those who have been on this planet for a long time have seen this movie already. When you look at history, when you see how powerful men move, you already know the outcome. Men and women in their graves. The unsuspecting. Let's break what we just read down. There's always someone in a circle that speaks words of wisdom. In this case, my mouth will speak words of wisdom. The utterance from my heart will give understanding. The author, the sons of Korah, temple assistants who wrote this, the Lord breathed and gave a message thousands of years ago. And the message, one of God, is filled with wisdom. And there is the instruction to hear, to listen. So there is a person, sometimes a group, that surrounds a man of power or many men of power. For purposes of this message, we are going to focus on men. And those wise individuals will let the man or men know who are powerful of whatever the instruction is that God has led them to share. There is no running from evil. There is no telling yourself, or maybe you do this, or maybe not, but this false hope or false encouragement that I've warned people of. When you see evidence and proof that there is evil, you don't tell yourself that, no, that's not what I see. No, they're not doing that. You got it all wrong. When the circle that surrounds is not only warning, but then eventually God will move them to leak information. And yes, that does happen. To save lives at that point. To save lives. The wicked deceivers, those that manipulate, those that lie, love surrounding powerful men. And what they do is they're used to tell the men, the unsuspecting, the powerful, to trust in them, in the wealth, the riches, what we stand to gain. We've got to do this, and that do this usually involves a sacrifice, because evil always demands a sacrifice of great proportion. No man can redeem the life of another or give to God a ransom for him. The ransom for a life is costly. No payment is ever enough that he should live on forever and not see decay. When times get rough, when the powerful men who have been deceived realize the truth, they beg and plead, whether publicly or behind closed doors. What must I do in order for this to just not happen, or to stop happening? Or how do we make wrongs right? I mean, I'm willing to give you, God, this, and I mean, I will do just about anything if you could just stop. When evil has been ushered in and a man can't control it, now he's begging and pleading for relief. And the tormentors know all too well, don't they? Because some people, they do some very dark and disturbing things. They know what begging and pleading looks like, what it sounds like. Wise men die. Evil men die. People die. And when this happens, their wealth ends up at the Goodwill, at the Salvation Army, with the VFW, with your mother, with your father, sister, brother, cousin, auntie, with the church, with whoever they have legally stated it is to go to. They can't take it to the grave. They know this. But they'll do just about anything to make sure that those who are not their favorites don't get anything. Am I speaking a truth to someone? A truth that it's hard at times to accept the fact that evil did you dirty once again. Sometimes the one who realizes that he or she has been deceived will tell people that it isn't what you think. Meanwhile, we know it's not just what we think, but what you still don't know about the situation, the circumstance. Trusting in one's riches, their worldly possessions. Bible says, like sheep, they are destined for the grave. Death feeds on them. And at some point, the upright, the righteous, oh, come on, someone be encouraged, will rule over them in the morning. The upright shows up bedside, standing over them, looking at their form. They're just slowly but surely headed to their grave. Mansions, huh? Big homes, lots of acres of land, a house on a hill. Eternal death is sure to come for the evil one, for the many evil ones. Eternal life for the righteous, for the just. There are those individuals, they don't want to receive truth, because to receive truth reminds them that their lives will come to an end. You can busy yourself by doing a variety of things. You can spend as much money as you want to, and of course reap the consequences of that. Your mind's so caught up in so many different things. But every now and again, a message comes along and reminds you that there is an end date. In the slave market of the ancient world, a slave had to be redeemed or ransomed. Someone had to pay the price in order to go free. In Satan's kingdom, if you will, just as God has a kingdom, Satan has his. It's interesting how those who have studied various religions, those that know something about ritual sacrifices and so forth, at some point the enemy will move on a man in a powerful position to say to another man who may want to get out, I don't want to do this any longer. Or, I just want to be free of all of this. What are you willing to give up? Or one who needs some help from an establishment. What are you willing to do? You see, some individuals know all too well. Whether you're low level or high level, you know all too well. But the Christian knows Jesus. And the Christian knows that Jesus already paid that price so that we could be what? Free. Free from slavery to sin. So that we could begin a new life with him. So why would, quote unquote, a Christian take an oath to an evil establishment that demands a sacrifice in order to be set free or to be elevated or to get opportunity even? A variety of reasons. But there are those who do this, and there are organizations, ancient old organizations, who have gods, lowercase g, who demand a sacrifice. It's not conspiracy. It's not far-fetched. It's not made up. You recognize the order of things when you're on the dark side and you've seen your share of weirdness and you have heard how some of these organizations operate. When I dated, I came across individuals who were part of organizations. And I also came across those who decided not to go along with programming. And they told me what was expected of them if they were to say yes to various groups. And none of it had anything to do with capital G, God. There's an illusion that the enemy gives that you can buy anything and everything that you want, and that is not so. You cannot buy eternal life with God. It is God who redeems a soul, according to my study Bible. Don't count on wealth and physical comforts to keep you happy, because you will never have enough wealth to keep from dying. And although this seems like common sense, this particular message today, it is not so common as you move up in society. Move up the ranks. You go from low level to high level. Voices surround individuals, making them feel like they're kings and queens. There is something similar between the rich and the poor. My study Bible says when they die, they leave all they own here on earth. And you heard that in the scriptures. At the moment of death, and all of us will face that moment, both rich and poor are naked and empty-handed before God. The only riches we have at that time are those we have already invested in our eternal heritage. At the time of death, each of us will wish we had invested less on earth, where we must leave it and more in heaven, where we will retain it forever. To have treasure in heaven, we must place our faith in God, pledge ourselves to obey Him, and utilize our resources for the good of His kingdom. Notice, His kingdom, His kingdom. This is a good time to check up on your investments and see where you have invested the most. Then do whatever it takes to place your investments where they really count. And you can ask the Lord about those investments. And some individuals right away, they start thinking about stock market. Once again, we're talking about investments that have nothing to do with worldly possessions. We have to place our faith in God. We have to obey Him. And the resources that we have, we use those to help family, to help community, to help as God leads. You see. And so this is just a friendly reminder for those individuals that you've been focused a lot on those individuals who trust in their worldly possessions, who don't mind bragging and boasting, who have little thought of God and the people of God. They trust in worldly possessions. Well, now you know. Now you are reminded of what happens. I thank you as always for taking time out to listen. You've been listening to YouTube, NM Enterprise 7. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment. We do have links in the description box. Would you help this channel? We appreciate it. Blessings to you.